The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Irwin, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being on our show. I really appreciate your time, and I wanted to start out by introducing you to our listeners around the world. I want to read your bio here from the NBA.com website. Entering his 38th season, Irwin Mandel has the longest tenure of anyone with the Bulls, the senior financial executive in the NBA, and one of the very most experienced in any management position in the league, responsible for the club's financial, legal, and corporate areas. Most important duties include player contracts, financial reports, and applying and interpreting the NBA's salary cap, free agency, and other collective bargaining rules. One of the select few NBA executives chosen to serve on the committee to advise the league regarding salary cap rule changes. David Stern, the commissioner, recently said nobody in the NBA understands the intricacies of the salary cap better than you. Very impressive.
Thank you very much.
And our show, we've been on the air a few months now, and that we have listeners here in Israel and also in Chicago and Chicagoans around the world online. But the listeners here in Israel, it's something special for them because there's nothing like this. There was nothing like this here in Israel until now, and the Chicago sports fans in Israel are even more diehard than the ones back home because we're watching all these games at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I know that many Israelis are very big basketball fans, and I know that that the Bulls are very popular in Israel. Possibly the two biggest Bulls fans that I know anywhere in the world, including Chicago, are Israelis. One of them is the late Uri Lipson, and the other one is Amnon Lipson, and they're both they've been very good friends of mine. And by the way, 20 years ago, it's ironic, 20 years ago when the Bulls won the first championship, I visited Israel, and I was honored to have a meeting with Ehud Olmert. At that time, I think he was the mayor of Jerusalem at that time, or else he was in the Knesset. I'm not sure which.
He was
but in
mayor
any
of Jerusalem,
event,
yeah.
he was a major Bulls fan. I wanted to spend my time talking to him about the Israeli Arab situation, and he wanted to spend the time talking to me about the Bulls and the NBA. So we had an interesting discussion, each one trying to talk to the other one about the other one's interest.
Well, we hope that you're going to come here and celebrate another Bulls championship and another start of a dynasty over here.
Well, I hope so. Thank you.
Now are you happy that the big three that the Bulls tried so hard to sign ended up going to Miami?
I have to say honestly that the Bulls still would have liked to have gotten one or two of them, but I mean, we're thrilled with our team. Derrick Rose, who we already had, is considered, probably one of the two or three best players in basketball. We're honored to have him. We were lucky enough to sign Carlos Boozer, and Chris Bosh, are somewhat comparable. But LeBron and Dwayne Wade are considered, two of the top 3 or 4 players in basketball. And if we could have gotten one of them, we would have liked it even better. But given that we don't have them, I think that Derrick Rose has played better as a result of him being the man and the sole main man. If we had LeBron or Wade, we probably would not have been able to sign the bench guys that we did.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know we wouldn't have because of we wouldn't have had the salary cap room.
Mm-hmm.
And the bench guys have made a fabulous contribution to the Bulls. And we wouldn't have the success that we've had without them. So even though we were disappointed we weren't able to get LeBron or Wade, we still are thrilled with the team we have. We've got a darn good chance of making it to the finals and maybe going all the way. And, I think a lot of fans in the United States, I don't know, and maybe in Israel as well, I don't know, look upon this as sort of good versus evil because this series, because fans look upon the Bulls as, a very team-oriented, defense-minded team that gives every single thing they have, whereas Miami, might be considered to have more talent in having the two very great superstars and Chris Bosh, but Miami, I think some fans didn't really love the way their team was formed. And so I think the Bulls, there's no question that the Bulls are the sentimental favorite. Miami is a great team, and we're hopeful that we can continue what we did Sunday night.
Well, you've been there for a while. How can you compare this team to the team of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and to the earlier teams that maybe some of our listeners weren't around to watch, including the two hosts of this show?
Those teams won 6 world championships, and those teams had Michael Jordan, who is considered the greatest player of all time, and that team had Scottie Pippen, who was voted one of the 50 greatest. So, and that team played together for a lot more time. So it's hard to compare this team with that team. I think this team is considered even better defensively, and this team is considered the absolute epitome as far as effort, overachieving, team play, and great defense, even though those Bulls teams were fabulous in all of those respects. I think in those respects, this team is considered better. Offensively, certainly, those Bulls teams were considered better. And, ask me 6 championships from now with this team how to compare them, and then, it'll be much easier for me too. But whether or not this team is as good as those teams, you have to love this team for its success and for playing basketball the right way and for their achievements so far. Nobody at the start of the season expected the Bulls to be this good, and you have to admire this team very, very much.
No doubt. Hi, Irwin. It's Jeremy. I spent a good decade plus living in Skokie.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
And I know that Gil, where were you from? Lincolnwood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, by the way, Gil, I saw Bobby Fink the other day, and Bobby said to say hi to you.
Another proud member of the management of the ownership team.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, Irwin, in regards to the roster changes that we might see after the new collective bargaining agreement is signed. In terms of the roster, if you think they're going to continue with this 15-man roster with 12 active players, 13 on a roster, and this weird concept, at least to me, of having at least an average of 14 players on each team.
That is something that I have not read about, that issue of the roster size. There's a lot of other issues, very important ones that are being discussed. That one I don't think has been, but if you're asking my common sense opinion, is that is one way, theoretically, to reduce team salaries by having a maximum roster of 14 rather than a maximum roster of 15. It's possible if there's a maximum roster of 14, maybe the average team would have 13 players rather than the average team having 14. That's the kind of issue, obviously, that the union would fight hard against, because that would mean taking away, there's 30 teams, that would mean taking away 30 jobs. So I don't I don't know how that one would be resolved, but you do bring up an interesting issue.
Can you look ahead to the off season, regardless of what happens in the rest of the playoffs? What's going to be happening with the Bulls roster? It seems like you'll be able to keep your core intact. You don't have to go through what the Blackhawks did after they won. Is there anyone who you would like to bring in, maybe a shooting guard?
I think, I'm not the talent evaluator for the Bulls, but I do follow it closely, and I think that almost all Bulls fans feel that the one area that it would be great to shore up would be the outside shooting, and so I would think that getting an additional real good shooter at the two-guard position, the shooting guard position, would be something that that Bulls fans would like to see happen.
Is there any
But
chance?
I mean, I will say this: Gar Forman and John Paxson, who have done masterful jobs, I know that they love our team the way it is now. But if you're saying ideally, could we get one more real good outside shooter? I think that that's something that they would would probably be a definite plus.
Is there any chance, salary cap wise, of looking ahead to the year after that, of being able to bring in a Dwight Howard from Orlando?
Well, teams are not allowed to talk about specific players on other teams. I will just say that the guy that I think is considered the heart and soul of the Bulls, or the single biggest heart and soul, is Joakim Noah, and the fans love him. The press loves him, and the Bulls organization loves him. His teammates love him. That guy brings it every single night. Every single thing he has in his body, every bit of effort that he can offer, he does. And I do not think at all that the Bulls want to replace him. I think that the Bulls, he's young. And I think the Bulls are hoping that he will be the starting center for another 9 or 10 years. Dwight Howard is probably considered one of the 4 or 5 best players in basketball. But I'm telling you that the Bulls love Joakim Noah, and I think have absolutely no plans to try to replace him at all.
I wanted to ask you in terms of, one of the big stories, of course, is Phil Jackson retiring, and you probably have a lot of memories from his time hanging out back in the old stadium. If you want to share maybe one personal story you have.
This is my view of Phil Jackson that I've always said. In my opinion, he is the greatest coach of all time in any sport when it comes to coaching players who have the potential to seriously compete for a championship. He will get the most out of them. He is a master psychologist, a very intelligent man, and he knows how to talk to players. He knows how to get the most out of them. He's very intelligent, very knowledgeable. Players respect him very much, but not only do they respect him, but they like him. I mean, he had the respect and the liking of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. And, that's a difficult thing to achieve, but he did it. And I have the greatest respect for him. And I wish him a lot of luck. A lot of retired coaches eventually get the itch to come back. I think with Phil Jackson, it might be a little bit less, because of the fact that he has so many outside interests. He's an intellectual. He's got a great curiosity, and he knows so much about so many different subjects that I think he will be happy no matter what he does, and will keep himself interested and occupied.
Irwin, one of the stories of the last couple of days was they had the lottery and the draft. The Bulls are where they are today because they got lucky. Some would call it luck, some would call it help from God, when they got the number 1 pick in the draft and got to pick their own hometown player in Derrick Rose. I don't. The ownership of the Bulls is very Jewish, it seems. Was there a lot of davening going on that day that we can?
I don't think anybody was davening, because I don't think anybody thought that we had any chance at all. We had the 9th best chance out of 14 teams, and it came out to a 1.7% chance. There was just nobody thought that we would win that, and I remember being so unbelievably excited when I heard that, and that is what turned the Bulls' fortunes around. That draft, I'm happy for Cleveland. Cleveland unfortunately lost the guy that was, at the time widely perceived to be the best player in basketball. And under the rules, they were not able to get anything back for him. And, and that for their fans, that was a terrible blow. And now they've got the 1st pick and the 4th pick, and this should give them hope for the future. Unfortunately for them, I don't think there's considered any 1 or 2 or 3 great franchise players in the draft, but I think there are considered some excellent young players, and they're going to get 2 of them. I'm very happy for Cleveland and for their fans, and I wish them a lot of luck. This should very much help turn around their franchise. I don't think nearly as much as the Bulls getting Derrick Rose, but it still should help turn them around substantially.
I'm wondering, was there ever a Jewish player on the Bulls?
I don't think David Greenwood would be considered Jewish, even though that's a Jewish name. No, I'm teasing because, of course, he's not. A Jewish player on the Bulls, not that I can think of. The Bulls, like all teams, just try to get the best players possible and keep our fans happy that way. And I assure you that our Jewish fans and our non-Jewish fans, what they want is a winner. And that's what they care about, and that's what the Bulls try to provide them.
A lot of Israelis here would love to see Omri Caspi, who's stuck there in Sacramento, come and maybe back up Luol Deng.
He's a very good player. He didn't get that many minutes. He's had a big following, and it's nice to read that he has fans who follow him in every city and come out and cheer him and wave the Israeli flag and everything. And he's a good player, and I hope he has a wonderful career, and he probably will.
We'll hope that maybe he fills one of those 5 roster spots going into the next season that's open.
I'm not the one that makes those decisions.
Yeah, but, I know. That's for Gar. That's for Gar
and
John to decide.
Are you going to the game tonight?
John Paxson, I'll tell them that you said that the Bulls should make a trade for him or sign him.
Please do. Irwin, are you going to the game tonight?
Well, I got nothing better to do, so yeah.
Nothing better to do. All right, well, congratulations on the Bulls making the Final Four, of course. Of course, we're pulling for them, and we look forward to...
by the way, one of the fringe benefits I get from being senior vice president is after the game, if the Bulls win, I go down and give the players 5 as they're running to the locker room, and that's always a thrill for me. And I've been able to do that for every victory so far, and I sure hope I can do it for 3 more this round and for 4 in the next round.
With God's help, with tonight, when you give D. Rose a high 5, think of the people in Jerusalem watching the game in the middle of the night. Thank you.
Thank all the Bulls fans there and all the NBA fans.
Thank you so much for coming on. It means a lot to our fans.
Thank you, and may peace be in Israel and the Middle East.
Amen.
Thank you guys very much. It was my honor.